Do you know how long it takes to reach your first $100,000 if you invest $500 a month from your salary? About 11 years. And how long for the next $100,000? Only 6. And the one after that? Only 4. That is the power of compound interest. And it's exactly why your first $100,000 is the hardest and the most important money you will ever make. And in this video, I'm going to show you the safest, proven way to get there. Let me show you what $100,000 actually does before we ever talk about how to get there. A $100,000 portfolio invested at 7% quietly generates about $7,000 a year. That's around $583 every single month on its own without you ever touching the original $100,000. To put that in perspective, $583 a month is about 3/4 of the average new car payment in this country right now. Except you're not making that payment, you're receiving one from money you will never have to work for again. Now here's the part nobody tells you. There's actual math proving that everything after that first $100,000 gets easier, and we're going to walk through all of it. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner for over 50 years, is famously quoted as saying that the first $100,000 is brutal, but you've got to do it. That line gets attributed to him all the time, and the spirit of it is exactly right. Say you invest $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year coming straight out of your own pocket. For a long time, you are the engine. You're doing the heavy lifting every month. But at 7%, the moment your portfolio crosses about $85,700, something quietly flips. The returns your money earns in a year become bigger than the $6,000 you're adding. For the first time in your life, your money earns more than you save. And it keeps pulling ahead. By the time you hit $100,000, your portfolio is throwing off around $7,000 a year while you're still adding your $6,000. You now have a silent second earner, one that works a full-time job you never have to show up for. Sit with that for a second. $583 a month is roughly 8% of what a typical American household brings in every month, and it's earned by doing absolutely nothing. That's the whole reason to start, not to get rich fast. There's nothing fast about this. It's to build a second earner that never quits. Every $100 a month you can point at it makes it stronger, and the earlier that earner shows up, the more time it has to go to work for you while you sleep. So let's rewind for a second. What is the actual safest way to do this? What do you even put the money in? The safest path is not picking winners. It's not hunting for the next big stock. It's boring on purpose. You buy the entire market through a low-cost S&P 500 index fund automatically every single month. And I don't want you to just take my word for it. Here are the receipts. Over the last 15 years, about 90% of professional active large-cap funds lost to the plain S&P 500. These are people who do this for a living, with teams and terminals and every advantage. And 9 out of 10 of them couldn't beat the boring index. And regular beginners tend to do worse. The classic Barber and Odeon study found that the most active everyday traders earned 11.4%, while the market itself did 17.9%. There's even a name for the trap, the illusion of competence. You know just enough to feel skilled, but not enough to see what you're missing. And then there's the quiet killer, fees. A good S&P 500 index fund costs around 0.03% a year. That's about $3 for every $10,000 you have invested. A lot of active funds charge 0.5% to 1% or more. That gap sounds tiny, but it compounds into years of lost growth over a lifetime. Next, let's make this personal, because there is exactly one lever in this whole thing that you fully control. You can't control the market, you can't control the returns, but you completely control how much you put in every month, and it changes everything. At 7%, here's the time to your first $100,000 based on what you contribute. At $200 a month, it takes 19.6 years. At $300 a month, 15.5 years. At $500 a month, 11.1 years. At $750 a month, 8.2 years. And at $1,000 a month, 6.7 years. Now look at the honest read on that. The difference between $200 a month and $500 a month is 8.5 years of your life. Alright, before you even open that index fund, there's an order of operations. And each step is ranked by the return it guarantees you. First, take your 401k match. If your employer offers one, the average match is about 4.7% of your pay. A match is an instant 50% to 100% return on your money the day you make it. Nothing else on earth reliably pays that. Do this first, every time. Second, kill high-interest debt. The average credit card interest rate is around 22%. Paying that off is a guaranteed 22% return with total certainty. No investment on the planet beats a guaranteed 22% with a straight face. Third, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is the step that actually makes the whole plan safe. Without the cushion, the first real crisis forces you to sell your investments at the worst possible moment. And that's how good plans die. And this matters more than people admit. According to the Federal Reserve, 37% of US adults couldn't cover a surprise $400 expense with cash. A cushion is what keeps you from becoming a forced seller. Fourth, then, and only then, you automate the index fund. And you do it inside tax-advantaged accounts. Right now, you can put up to $24,500 a year into a 401k and up to $7,500 into an IRA. And with a Roth, your growth and your qualified retirement withdrawals come out completely tax-free. So the ladder goes like this: 50 to 100% from the match, then a guaranteed 22% from killing debt, then the safety of your emergency fund, and then your steady 7%, in that order. Now, I want to be straight with you, because some of you already have sharp questions, and you deserve real answers. 3 quick confessions. First, is investing monthly actually the mathematically perfect move? No. Vanguard's research shows that investing a lump sum all at once beats spreading it out about 2/3 of the time. So why do I keep saying monthly? 2 reasons. If you invest out of a paycheck, you're already doing it monthly by default, and that's just the right behavior. And spreading it out protects you from yourself, from waiting, from trying to time it, from panicking when things get scary. It's the behaviorally safest option, even when it isn't the perfect one on a spreadsheet. Second, why not just jump out when the market looks bad? Because you will miss the best days, and the best days hide right next to the worst ones. JP Morgan looked at $10,000 left fully invested in the S&P 500 over 20 years. It grew to $64,844. Miss just the 10 best days in that entire stretch, and you end up with $29,708, less than half. And about 7 of those 10 best days happened within 2 weeks of the 10 worst days. You literally cannot dodge the crashes without also dodging the recoveries. Time in the market beats timing the market, and it isn't close. Third, what about that 7% I keep using? I'm being deliberately conservative on purpose. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% a year before inflation, with dividends reinvested, but roughly 7% after inflation. I use the 7% so every number in this video stays honest in today's actual buying power. And I have to say it plainly, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. So here's how I want you to think about your first $100,000. It is not a milestone, it's a toll you pay once. Every dollar after it is cheaper than the one before, because the machine does more and more of the carrying for you. Remember the milestones. The first $100,000 did 34% of the work through returns. But by the time you're pushing toward $1 million, the returns are doing 89% of it. You're the same person, putting in the same amount. The math just took over. Most of the people who look lucky with money, they mostly just paid that toll early and then let the math run. They didn't find the secret. They didn't time anything. They stayed in their seat long enough for that first painful stretch to end, and then the boring index fund did what it has quietly done for decades. And once you're past it, the wealthy have a whole different playbook for what comes next. I showed one of their biggest tricks in my last video, how some billionaires legally pay $0 in tax. If you haven't seen it, it's right here. And it's the natural next step after this one. Before you go, one honest reminder. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. It's math and history to help you make your own call. Now I want to hear it. What's your monthly number? Tell me in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.